Schultz and helping him with the situation with walk-up. It has been really a difficult situation for him, and I know I hate, he's still in the audience, and I hate for a situation to go unmentioned and unexplained. So if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, if Anna can kind of recap the situation to the 24 board members so we're all not completely oblivious as to what's going on in walk-up.
I would, don't push or push.
I control the mic.
Okay. I would be happy to, and it goes back a couple of months, and I was sorry before Mr. DeBoer left the board. We had spoken, and he was going to try and bring it up to transportation again. Mr. Stevens came to the transportation committee with the concern. He is a property owner on the portion of walk-up that we are upgrading at this point in time. And he and his wife had attended all of the public meetings and had asked the questions about what impact this project was going to have on his property. Then when he went out of town apparently and his portion of the project was finished, and when he came back, suddenly the slope on the ditch was very different than what he had experienced preceding the project. And he was concerned because he thought he had attended all of those meetings, asked all of the questions, and wondered exactly what the impact was going to be, and was told there would be no impact. Then he came to the transportation committee with his concerns, and what he wanted us to do at that point in time was to go back to that part of the project, and instead of the large slopes, which fall within the normal slopes of any of the right-of-ways you're going to find on county highways, and level it out. To do that, that meant ripping out what was there now, installing at least 6 other stormwater facilities at a cost of approximately $60,000. So we talked. I talked to staff. Staff put together some information for me. We made an appointment to meet with Mr. Stevens out on his property and talk about what we could do. So instead of just saying no, I said, okay, what can we offer the man? Practically speaking, when he was told it wasn't going to impact his property, we did nothing on Mr. Stevens' property per se. The only changes were made to what is called right-of-way, was the county's designated right-of-way, so his property per se was not impacted at all, except that previous to this project, Mr. Stevens had been able to take his riding mower out. It was more level. There was not the steep ditch or the rise to what he's experiencing right now. He is not comfortable with certain areas of his ditch in front of his property now using his riding lawnmower on. So we talked about what the changes would mean, the expense to the county to go back at this point and rip it all out and put $60,000 into making it level, making the right-of-way level, when it falls within what we consider the bounds of acceptable from a federal and local perspective, and said to him, we can't do that, but in talking about it, what we can do, immediately adjacent on Mr. Stevens' property to the right-of-way is a berm. He has a large berm with trees on the berm. And we said, if what you would like to do is remove the trees on your property, hire a contractor and level out that berm, which would then in effect change the slope on the back side of that ditch, we're prepared to work with you on that. And he said he would think about it. He wasn't really sure. He didn't think he wanted it at his expense, but it's his property. This adjustment would be made on his property. And what I said is, again, having talked about it, I do not feel that to go back at this point in time with that part of the project done, that a $60,000 reinvestment to tear out a portion of a project that was already complete would have been a prudent idea. What I said to Ms. Wheeler when we talked afterwards is, if you would like this discussion to be brought up again, please have Mr. DeBoer do it under members' comments at the Transportation Committee. From my perspective, I had worked with the homeowner and offered him some resolution if what he was really doing in his discomfort at the level of maintenance that the Division of Transportation would provide in clearing out that right-of-way area if there was a problem, in making sure it was mowed. I said, we have a mowing program. If you feel somehow you're letting you down, please get in touch with somebody at the Division of Transportation. If you get no resolution there, give me a call. I will look into what happened, why have we fallen down on maintenance of our right-of-way. If we're not clearing it out, we'll handle that the exact same way. But again, this was not a drop-dead decision point. If you find in the spring you would like to work with us, and again, work with removing your trees and your berm, work with us, because I can't have him changing the design of where the stormwater was going to flow. But for some reason, it was never ever brought up again at transportation, and it was my understanding that there was a letter to the editor. I did not see it, and now Mr. Stevens at this morning's meeting. But again, if there is somebody on the transportation committee that would like to address this, again, Mr. Stevens brought up some very good points when he went to the meeting, and he asked people, what does this mean when you're looking at a cross-section? Not even the engineers know what that translates into reality. You know, I'm going to tell you it's a 2-to-1 slope, and what does that practically mean to you? Means, you know, unless you can envision it, unless you've been doing it for 20 years or looked at how many projects, you don't know that's going to take an area you used to be able to use your riding lawnmower on, and it suddenly becomes too steep a hill that you're comfortable doing that. So he brings out a very good point in that, you know, we're going to have to look at some of these public hearings. We're going to have to make our presentations that are not just heard by people, but understood by the public that comes. So those are conversations that I've had with the staff members, and we've got something from it. Meeting with, and I'm sorry, I'm going to ask to see a copy of the letter, because I still couldn't hear everything that Mr. Stevens was saying, but some of the other suggestions, Division of Transportation staff members meeting with every homeowner to see what's going on. Again, warrant discussion, because maybe it would be time better spent before we do something, explaining to people what that impact is going to be, instead of playing catch up after the fact. So,
That's a concept.
You know, I will be looking at the letter and taking it to the Transportation Committee for some discussion, because, you know, open and transparent. If when you come back from being out of town, suddenly it's information you thought you had all along the way, and it looks very different than what you envisioned, you know, we have to do something differently about making sure people have a better idea of what